what's going on in this picture? Okay, what's going on, Leslie?
The other dinosaurs are leading the other one out.
These ones?
Maybe because she's not the same.
Oh, do you guys think he's leaving it out because he's not the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
And their family.
So what do we call that? What's the word we called this yesterday? This is called a
Problem.
problem. Good. Now what do you call the word when you're trying to solve the problem?
Solution.
Nice. Solution. Very good. Okay. So today, our learning targets are the same as yesterday's. Here's our big goal that we're going to try to get to, and we're going to study this week and next week. I can describe the literary elements of fiction. There's a big word in there. There is the literary elements of fiction. What do we mean by that? Talked about this yesterday. What do we mean by that, Karina?
We mean literary elements means the parts that make up fiction.
The parts that give us examples of elements of fiction.
Like dialogue or
Mhm.
problems, characters, figurative language.
All of these elements that you guys came up with on Monday. You're right. Today, yesterday we studied problem. Today we're going to study solution. So that takes us to our goal for today. I can identify and describe how the problem and solution of a fiction story make an interesting plot. Would it be weird if I had a story and it had this really great problem, but then it ended right there?
Maybe it might have been continued stories.
It wouldn't be as interesting, right? We always need a solution, okay? So yesterday we talked about problem, and today we're going to talk about solution to make our stories very interesting. Now, why are we studying these elements of fiction? Just because? There's nothing better to do? What's our reason? Octavia, what do you think?
Making stories of it.
We're going to be we are writing stories and writing, right? We're writing fiction stories. Good. Do these elements help us write fiction stories? Okay. Why else do you think we're studying these elements? Rachel?
Help us understand fiction better.
Help us understand fiction better. Do you think if you know what each one of these are when you read a fiction book, you can understand it better?
Yeah.
Probably. Okay, so yesterday we did our rising action, our problem. Today we're going to work on our solution. We also talked about climax when the problem is so big, right? And now we are going to talk about, what can we do to solve that big problem we have? Now, first, I'm going to show you how I identify and describe the problem after I read a fiction text. So I'm going to show you my thinking. What's my job? My job is to show what?
Teacher's job.
Ashton, my job is to
Show my thinking on how I identify and describe the solutions.
Yep, my job is to show you how I use this learning target, how I identify and describe the solution. What's your job? What's your job right now? AJ?
Watch and listen carefully to what you do so you will be able to do this skill on our own.
Yeah, you're going to need to do this skill on your own. So you're going to need to listen very carefully to what I do so you guys can do the same thing. Okay? Now, we read Miss Nelson on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I used Miss Nelson to show you my problem. Now I'm going to show you how I identify and describe the solution. So, I'm thinking in my head, the first thing I need to do is I need to go back to what the problem was from yesterday because my mind doesn't remember too much. So I remember Miss Nelson has a very misbehaved class. That's how the story started. And then the problem gets a little bit worse. Ms. Nelson tries to help by telling them to settle down, but the class does not listen. Now, the problem gets even worse and bigger. Ms. Viola Swamp, a very mean teacher, shows up and it makes the class work very, very hard, right? So that's when the problem's really big. Now I need to think of the solution and what is going on. What I would do is I think I need to go back to my text right here to make sure I'm really getting information from the text. So yesterday I was looking at how Miss Viola's swamp came. Remember, she made them work really, really hard? Oh, and then the kids were wondering where Miss Nelson is, so they went to the detective, what was his name? Oh, McSnog. And they were telling him that he's missing. I think I'm gonna write that down, but let me just keep looking. And then they keep trying to find her because they start missing her. Okay, and then, do you guys remember how the story ends?
Yeah.
It was about, oh, I remember. It's about how Miss Nelson comes to school the next day, and the kids were just like perfect students, right? They learned their lesson, okay? And then she has a little secret. She has that black dress in her closet. That Viola Swamp was really her, okay? So I think my following action, oh, that Detective McSnog, they told him that Miss Nelson was missing. And I'm also thinking, does that solve this problem? That the class has this problem that they're not working hard and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not listening to the teacher. Does telling Detective Mr. McSnog help this problem at all? I don't think so. I don't think that's important information I need to include in here. So I'm not going to include that part because that does not really solve my problem. But what solves the problem is that the kids really start missing Miss Nelson, right? And then Miss Nelson comes back. Okay? So I'm going to write that part in here.
And
the students Miss, oh, I don't know how to spell Miss Nelson, but I can look at, there it is, Nelson. Nelson, she ends up coming back. That sounds good. I'm just saying she comes back. That makes more sense to me. Okay, the ending and the resolution, how this whole problem gets solved is the students, they learn their lesson not to act like this anymore, right? So the class learned their lesson. And I love how the story ends too, because Miss Viola's Swamp, we found out at the end, is really Miss Nelson. I would even add that part in there. Miss Nelson is really, or was really, Miss Viola. Oh, I can't remember how to spell swamp. What could I do? Go back to the text,
look
right?
back on your climax.
Oh, or look back to where I did spell it right. Oh, got it. Swamp. Great. Now, turn to a buddy next to you and tell them what you heard and saw me do. What was my thinking?
She didn't know what words she would just go back to the text and have to spell it. She was
Alright, you guys, what did you guys see me do? You can tell me what you said or what your buddy said. So what did you guys see me do and think that will help you? Ooh, lots of hands. I like that. Adavia.
Would you that you went back and reread what you said, and if you didn't know how to spell words, you would have went back. And
Definitely. So I heard that I was reading the problem. Okay? Judith,
you check for understanding.
what do you mean by that?
Like if you don't know one word, you try to look at the word and you check if it didn't have sense, and you would check it.
So I was double checking the spelling of the words. I could do that. That's something I do as a writer, you're right. What else did you guys see me do that helps me get my solution? Go ahead, Ashley.
What I saw you do is, like, first you thought of something to write, except for copying off of the book, and what happened, and so you thought for a second, and you, like, thinked in your mind that you were going to write that. I noticed that.
Uh-huh. So I hear what you're saying. I'm using my own words. I didn't copy the text exactly, right? Okay. What do you think, Marissa?
I noticed that, like, when you were writing stuff, you realized it didn't make sense, and you went back across it after wrote a thing that made sense.
You're right, Marissa. That's kind of
So you-
what I do as a good writer too, right?
So you double
I
check.
edit and check as I go. All right. Valdemar, do you have something to say?
Yes. And when you got stuck like, where you were gonna write something, you went back to the book and looked through the pages.
Okay. So always go back to the text. Was there a question I kept asking myself where I was thinking, oh, what does this and this go together? What did I keep asking myself, Leslie?
Does it make sense?
Does this make sense, right? And what else did you guys see me asking? Octavio? Great. And I was also thinking, what does this solution, what, Rachel?
Does this solution go like one of the main solutions? Because like they went to Dr. McSmall or whatever his name was.
Detective McSmog.
Yeah, but he found that wasn't really how they solved it.
Oh, I was really thinking, I kept asking myself, does that really solve the problem, right? That was a little minor detail. Do I need to include that? No, because it doesn't really solve the problem. So I'm thinking right here, I kept asking myself, does I'm going to say S for solution, solve the P for problem, okay? All right, we're going to stop right there. And now we're going to have a chance to practice this skill together, okay? Now, before, you guys all have the rocking chair text in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Doing what I did, can you go ahead and try this on the back of your story mountain? So go ahead and try to fill in your solution. Keep going back to the text. Ask yourself questions, okay? And if you need to use a buddy next to you, you can. All right. Oh, go get the right one quickly. All right. So you guys, you are here. And Brian, can you just remind me? The rocking chair text. Okay. Brian, do you want to tell Elias what it was about real quick?
Yes.
First, Beth, lady, she had a rocking chair, and she walked inside it. We saw the rocking chair moving by itself, and then the other day, and then the next thing that happened, and then the rocking chair was
So what did we say? The beginning was that what? What was this?
and so she,
Okay.
so the cat jumped in the chair, and
So are you saying that you're trying to describe it as
The next day was moving.
Beth was like between the door and she was peeking in what was it called? She was peeking in the nursery. And the cat went in there and the cat went under and it started shaking and the cat got out. So that's how you So should we write, then what happened? Beth peeked into the nursery and the cat went in there and then the cat went under and
that's how she started. It came out and then it started playing.
Start working on these two together.
So then she figures out that the cat. So what do you do? Then we had to make a falling action. The cat chair. She spied on the chair. Like
she saw the cat. Well, she didn't exactly kick out of the chair. She like jumped off when the mother came in. But then when the mom came in and so like and then it walked the same way. Because it jumped off her and pushed it. That's she ran back. So that's why you can see the cat. So that's what it was. So like whenever she walked by, the cat jumped off. Because they were scared.
What did the paralyzed
And the end resolution is Beth figured out when the cat was in the house.
Okay, 1 more minute, just try to wrap it up.
Beth,
What are you stuck on?
And then one of the resolution is when the cat and then the mom came in and scared the cat and the cat jumped off.
and then the chair started rocking, and Beth found out that the cat secret came off.
Okay, you guys, even if you're not finished, tell a buddy next to you what you would have written if you haven't finished, or what you wrote, and you guys could talk about, is that really the solution to the problem?
What I did is when the cat jumped off the chair and she realized that was it under or over?
First, when she jumped up, she ran out the room.
Yeah, she got on the chair.
And her mom scared her, saw the cat away, and she
Well, what I think is that she didn't. Well, I can help you.
So I like what you said, Patrick. You took all those little mini details that you had and you just put it together, and you just talked about the main details, right?
The cat got on and then it got scared and jumped off.
Because
the mother.
And
Yeah,
then-
but I don't know
and then
how
she
he got.
noticed.
I forgot how he got scared.
Because the mother came into the nursery and started like going back and forth. So then the cat jumped off, and then she noticed.
So do we need all those little details in there? Would you say?
Maybe we can. While Beth was buying all the chairs, the cat came in to the nursery, and she didn't say anything, so she would give herself away. And then when the mother came in, the cat jumped off because she knew she wasn't supposed to be in the nursery. And Beth figured out why the rocking chair always rocked by
Okay.
itself.
All right, good. That's a little bit more concise than what you guys are saying. Now, I'm going to have one more person share up there. I want you guys to listen to how they just took those big details and then just talk about the main ones, all right? Okay, Octavia, you want to share yours real quick? With a loud voice, do you want to tell us your thinking about how you found the solution?
When the cat jumped off the chair and it the cat jumped
Hold
off.
on, let's wait till everyone is paying attention to what you have to say. All right, go ahead.
When the cat jumped off the chair and it was rocking, Beth realized that the cat made it rock.
Okay. What made you think that that's what you should put here for the falling action? No, your thinking's right. We just want to know what made you think that.
Because when she runs off, part of the story is when she ran, the chair started rocking.
Okay. Do you guys notice anything about what Octavia did? What, Rachel?
That he had looked back to the story
Uh-huh.
and like wrote down not exactly what he saw, but what he thought.
Yeah. Real quick sentence about what was happening, right? Okay. Last one. What's your ending and resolution? Loud voice.
When the cat jumped off the chair and it was rocking, Beth realized that the cat made it rock.
Okay. Do you guys think that's what you would write for ending and resolution to the story? Dominic?
Sort of like the second.
Almost the same.
Almost the same thing? Okay. Does it look like his problem and solution match?
Yes.
Okay, very nice. Now, today, before you start independently reading, I'm going to have you guys work on the bear scare, and you guys are going to have to do that independently. That means not with a buddy, by yourself, okay? What are you going to look for and think about when you're trying to find a solution for that story? Marissa, tell us with a loud voice.
We're gonna look for understanding, and we're gonna back up and make sure we know what we're reading.
Okay, great. Terry, you got something else to say? No, that was it? Okay. Now, why are we learning this? What's the point? How does this help us? Tariq?
Learn how to write fiction stories.
Helps us learn how to write fiction stories and helps us how to read it too. Very nice. All right, so while you, we'll have Kavina pull sticks. First work on your reading and then you guys can independently read.
Oscar P. Jesus. Dominic. Patrick. Samuel. Not supposed to be looking. Amani. Judith.
You guys don't need to be around Kavina, just get the things that you need and Kavina will call your name.
Baltimore, Ashland, Octavio, Madison, and Gina. Gina's right there. Oh. Wait, are you sure that's what? Well, when there's extra pillows, I'll call Elias, I guess.
Alright, go get a pillow.
There's one extra pillow. So So Elias gets a pillow.
Gina gets the pillow.
Oh, okay then.
Jaguars, can I see you over here, please?
Use this.
Great, can you please back to the chairs and stuff?
Now they're scared. They're
Can you help them out, Christina?
she's out.
Okay, let's get started. Did you do your work?
How's it work?
What do you need? Bears. Oh, you didn't get that? You weren't here yesterday for that one?
I did.